the recording and we can promote the finance folks as they come on.
All right, great. Good evening and welcome to the March 9th special meeting of the Board of Estimate and Taxation, our continued review of the citywide departmental budgets. As we get underway tonight, one remark before we call the roll. To those of you from the general public who might be listening in, you are more than welcome to listen into these sessions, but there is no public commentary during the departmental budget reviews. The opportunity for public comment occurs during the public hearing on the 25th of March. With that, Madam Clerk, may I get you to call a roll, please?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Mayor Smith,
Present.
Mr. Abrams,
Here?
Mr. Androsco,
I'm here.
Mr. Constant,
Here.
Mr. Jelleret,
Here.
Mr. Kasimis, Ms. Yang.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Madam Mayor, any comments from you before we get right into the budget review?
No, just I hope everyone had a restful weekend and we're back at it for the finance department tonight. Lots of questions to ask, of course, and we'll continue with our deliberations and do what we need to do. So thank you, Chair.
Very good. All right, Tom, you want to bring up the spreadsheet and we'll
I will.
get going here?
And let me know how that looks to people.
Seems to be okay.
All right. So tonight is finance. We'll start with CFO's area. Notable and consistent with what we've seen in the other departments. The salary adjustment that we have done or that we did in the past. Division-wide for finance, we allocated all to the chief's area, in this case, the CFO. That was $136,000. So that obviously skews the percentage. You can see overall that's a 62% increase. $135,000 of the $143,000 is due to that. The only change in Jared's area is $7,200 for 2 years, but 2 years worth basically of the salary increases and steps. Although the steps are a little bit different in the ordinance world. But Jared, you can take it from here and comment as you see fit.
Yep. Thanks, Tom. And Mr. Chair, thank you. And I want to start by saying, because it is all the departments under finance, and so I think this is an appropriate time for me to say, thank you so much to the department heads in the finance division. It's a phenomenal team. Everybody does a great job. We had a very busy year last year, very busy, and I just want to cover a couple of things that got accomplished. That were important and critical to the operation going forward, and also to building on things that we want to do in the future. And so, but I just want to thank them all for the work that they did and in helping putting together the budget. And especially to Tom and to Kimberly for their help in putting together the budget, Chitsame as well. But there were a number of things that were pretty monumental that got accomplished over the last year, including implementing a new timekeeping system, UKG, that was in the works for many, many months. I think started before I actually got here. We got the annual comprehensive financial report done on time, which is becoming more and more rare every year, given the lack of auditors and other factors. We had to implement we talk about it all the time about the impact on the budget, but we had to implement and Chitsmay in particular in her office, the collective bargaining agreements and all the changes within there and doing the retroactive payments and figuring out what they're going to be going forward. And it was a ton of work. Still managed to get the audit done on time. We are just about there in terms of implementing the new digital budget book. And Paul doing the motor vehicle registration compliance, that is well on its way. We're starting to see revenue from that. And so it was a really good, productive year, and we got a lot accomplished. My budget is pretty straightforward, as Tom said. The increases, along with a lot of the other departments, are in salaries, and everything else is pretty flat. So I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Questions for Jared on his CFO department?
Yes, I guess the question on the part-time, is that Lola?
No, that's the grant coordinator.
Okay. And that person works 50% of the time, 30%?
Just under 50.
Okay.
Yep.
And is Lola is in budgets, or where is Lola?
Yeah, she's
Yep.
in my area.
Yeah, she's vital.
But she shows up further down, not in this top CFO department, right, Tom? It shows up in your
Correct.
department.
Yeah, she's
Later
in the
on, yeah.
management and budget section.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, and I just wanted to comment how vital she is. I know she is in this budgeting process and putting together the book. So she's a great constant who's been there for a long time. So kudos to Lola.
She has been great.
All right. Any other?
Yeah, Ed,
Go ahead, Troy.
Jared, since you mentioned your whole team, how many people is in the finance world, in your finance world?
50?
50?
Yes.
And the question that we, repeatedly brought up over the years is there any way that you could consider the CFO for both BOE and your job on the city side? How many people do they have, Lunda have on his team?
It's a good question. I don't know exactly how many they have. I can tell you that there is work that's done that's combined between the two, between BOE and the city, in pretty much all realms, but in finance in particular, there is. In legal, there is. If Chitsamay's on, she could probably speak to more about what's done in the area of finance. So there is. It's not like we're just completely siloed and they're doing their thing, we're doing our thing. There is work that the city is doing on behalf of the Board of Education. That's one of the reasons that we, in the budget presentation and other times, that we create a separate report that shows the actual expenditures related to Board of Ed activities, because there are a number of things, including things like finance operations, legal operations, debt service that the city pays for out of the city budget on behalf of the Board of Education.
I know this is something I've been on. This is my 9th year, and I know we've brought it up year after year. Is the consolidations? You're paying two CFOs in a corporation, as you know, in a private corporation or public corporations. You have one CFO, and he could have many technical, very complicated divisions under him, under that person, and it's something on the HR thing we've talked about. The CFO side we've talked about, but it seems to never quite be something. It seems like it could be an easy fix to save money, but I once again, something like this continue. And if you could just let us know how many people are on Linda's team too, because 50 and 50 and then two CFOs. I mean, it's just something we've been always talking about. That's all.
Yeah, and I understand that, and just to piggyback off of your private sector analogy, I think you have companies with different subsidiaries that work underneath them and have CFOs that work for each of those subsidiaries, and it's not unlike that in the sense that our operation in the city is a lot different than the operation in the Board of Education. And I would say the same thing across the board in IT, because a lot of we've gotten a lot of questions about IT and combining IT. And I tell you, I looked at it and thought about it, and as I thought about the structure, I I don't think I would change a thing in IT, because you're still going to have the function of the IT department in the Board of Education is so much different. They have desktop people who may go out and service the Chromebooks of students. That's a lot of what they do, and they need to focus on that. And you need people to do that. We have on our side of things, we've got certain IT equipment that's specific to police and fire, emergency type equipment, things that are in vehicles. We have a team that specializes in that and is focused on that, and it's certainly enough work to occupy their time, and more so probably. Um, so the type of information that we deal with, the products that they deal with are very different. The software that the Board of Education uses is very different, and it's not things that we would use. Things like curriculum that they use for curriculum development, or um, things to schedule classes. The software is very different. There are certain things like the ERP system that we do share. So Munis is something that both us on the city side and the Board of Education use jointly. And so there are definitely ways that we don't talk about all the time, but we're trying to let you guys know about it more and more, that we do share services and share products that where we can. Phone system, same thing, between IT between the Board of Ed and the city. So there's a lot of that goes on. But I just want to reiterate that the operations are very different, and it's not as easy as saying, let's just have one of, name the department or name the division over both the Board of Education and the city.
Yeah, no, Jared,
Understood.
correct me. I'm
I'm
not
sorry.
saying anything's easy. I'm saying that it's the word duplication of activities is a very painful word in the financial organizations. The other thing is, a couple of years ago, before you obviously, Tom Hamilton was our CFO, and for whatever reason, somebody left on one of the city side or the board side, and he took over that year. Might have been a year and a half as the single CFO for the city, and things went um, actually pretty well that year. So it's just something that happened by happenstance that year, but it was able to be done, and it's just something I continue to ask. And the more we can minimize duplication, the happier I am. So
Yeah. I guess, Jared and Madam Mayor, I see your hand. I'll get to you in a moment. I guess, Jared, my point and my ask as an open item would be, for the last 3 years, we have talked through the efficiency study of areas of opportunity for consolidation, and we have never gotten a documented reason as to why or why not and what the implications would be. I would like, to the comments you just made, to see documentation as to the benefits and risks associated with the consolidation of the various functions we have talked about in the efficiency study over the last several years, so that we can simply put the discussion debate to bed, because the facts are presented before us and the public, please. So, Madam Mayor, your hand was up
Um,
first, then Ms.
yeah,
Yang.
thank you, Chair. Um, Yeah, I agree with you, Troy, that Tom did an incredible job that year, but you will recall he did have a health issue and then retired. So I think it took a toll on him, but he really was able to do an incredible job. But just to add to Jared's comments, because this is something, the consolidation of services is something we've talked about on the council for years. And so that was one of the first things in my transition period that we started researching and, studying best practices in other municipalities. And I can tell you that we did not find any cases where, especially in a city of our size, where CFOs were shared, and really struggled to find. We found a couple very small municipalities where they shared IT services, but I think that there's a lot of challenges around that. But I
What
agree
about
with you.
HR, Mrs. Mayor?
Yeah, HR, we haven't looked at, I have not done any research on HR best practices, so I don't want to comment on that. But I think that, we should look at documentation, Jared, and you really, get in there and provide like, you know, again, looking at the best practices in other municipalities and what are the reasons we can't do it, and what, I think we need, I agree with Ed that we need some documentation around that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Yang.
I have a math question here. Tom, can you explain in the previous year the salary adjustment as a negative, and this year it's flat and therefore it's a positive, which yields the increase of,
Well, it's just, yeah, so the negative, the negative is the sum of all the salaries within the finance world. So that's 1% of the CFO's salary, plus the tax assessor, plus accounting and treasury, plus management and budget. It's the sum of all the salaries times 1%. So that adjustment went against the chief's area in each of the divisions. And then the reason it's positive this year is because that's a comparative this year for 27 versus 26. So in order to get back to zero, you need a positive to do that.
understood. And
Yes.
take me through again, it was a 1% decrease in the chiefs for last year that they took.
Yes. And then we changed the approach this year. We're not allocating it back to the divisions. We're doing we're calling it a salary lapse this year. We're doing one adjustment at the very bottom citywide. We're not pushing it out to the departments.
Okay.
And that's a $3 million number.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, it was a $3 million number last year and a $3 million number this year again.
I want to say it was a little bit less than
Yeah.
3 million last year. I want to say maybe 2.4-ish.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions before we move to the tax assessor department? Okay, Tom, let's move forward, please.
All right. Yep. As Ed said, next up is a tax assessor, which is actually two sections: a tax assessor and then a small amount in what we call a tax assessor revaluation section, which is very small in a non-revaluation year. But in general, Paul's area this year is down 16,000 year over year, or 1.3%, and his revaluation number is flat, 20,000 last year, 20,000 this year. So Paul, take it away.
Good evening, everybody. How are you tonight?
Hi, Paul.
So I don't know. I guess I'll just open it up to questions like you did with Jared. If you have any questions about the budget, I mean, as Tom pointed out, we are down. We gave back wherever we felt we could, things that we saw unused. We tried to give back wherever we could this year to try to help out.
You want to touch on your head count just a little bit, Paul? I know
Oh,
you got
sure.
yeah.
We had two open positions. We now have relinquished one of those two open positions. We have one open position that's not being filled at this current time. We also have just recently, I mean, it was a cost savings because we had a long-term employee retire in December. And in February, we had new employees start that was at a significant reduction to the salary scale, probably at about close to about $20,000 per year difference between her starting point and the other person's ending point. But we did relinquish one of the two open positions that we've had open for the past couple of years.
Paul, Tom, I'm curious, is the increase in printing and duplication, row 30 of the spreadsheet, and the decrease in accounting audit services, row 36, is that simply a cleanup of budget line items and accounting codes, or is there really that significant an increase in printing and duplication that we expect for the year?
Okay, so the printing and duplication is due to the phase in. When we were doing the budgets a couple of years ago, we didn't know that we had to print notices every year of a phase in. So last year we took the money out of the from reval. This year we're accounting for the fact that we need to that we had to do notices this year. We have to do notices again next year, which is not typical in non-reval years. Usually you only have to send notices to the people who have increased assessments. But because in a phase in, almost everybody has an increased assessment, we have to send out notices to every property owner as if just like we did for a reval year. So that's going to be something that goes on for this year and next year, and then it'll go away for the final year. And then then it'll be back because we'll be back into another reval year. And if we don't do a phase in, then this will phase out. As far as the accounting auditing, that is because we RFP'd the auditing services this year for personal property, which is where we hire an outside auditor to review multiple accounts per year for accuracy of valuation and also accuracy of that the people are reporting what they're supposed to report. And we're going to be spending significantly less this year and over the next few years than we had in the previous few years because we put it out to an RFP and got a much better rate. So we had a significant reduction to the cost of our audits.
Thank you very much. Ms. Yang, I see your hand up.
Yes. So Paul, number one, thank you for coming in flat to below budget from last year. So thank you for that and leading the charge on that.
My pleasure.
On your wages and salary with the 945,000, how many people is that and what are the roles?
Okay, so I have two clerks who sit at the front. They answer phones, they take care of the people that come into the counter. I have then I have what I consider to be three assessment generalists, but that have specific functions. We have one person who is very well versed in personal property, another person who's very well versed in motor vehicle, and a third person who is very well versed in real estate. So that's a total that's five. And then we have my assistant assessor, Derek Berube. And he's been around for about a year, just about a year now. And then there's me. So a total of 7 people. But one of my 7 may be going away, not the position, but the person because of health concerns. So we may be looking to fill that position when her situation comes to fruition.
Yeah, including vacancies, it's 9 total.
Yeah.
But so just to clarify, when you opened, you said that you had 2 open positions, but you've relinquished one of them. So is it 2 or 1? So if it's 1, then are we at 8 or are we at 9?
It's 9 total, and then the vacancy. It was so. In other words, it was 10. So for the current year, there was a head count of 10. He's down to 9 now.
Okay. So when he went through the count, we got to 7. Did I hear that wrong?
There's also a assessment technician, Paul. I think that was the other one.
Right.
Okay, that gets me to 8. And so then the open position gets us to 9.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you. Just off to the side, Jared, have you had a chance to figure out what the gross up is, the real gross up is on salaries and benefits off of the base salaries that we see here in the spreadsheets?
Yeah, are we back on talking about the multiplier of what the
Yeah.
we're looking at that now, and I expect that, and Kimberly's been doing a lot of work on it. The thing that's driving us a little nuts is figuring out the pension cost and how to factor that into that calculation. I think everything else is basically done, but I think we have a good model for that going forward, and we should have it nailed down tomorrow.
And then just another 2 questions. How many motor vehicles do we have on the grand list, and how many commercial properties and residential properties do we have on the grand list?
If you'll accept, if you want exacts, I'd have to go and grab a report to be able to tell you exactly, but I can give you close estimates.
Yeah, close estimates is great.
Okay. There's approximately 77,000 cars, and that's growing as our deal with municipal tax services keeps sending out the letters to people who have out-of-state plates or unregistered vehicles. We have, I believe it's about 2,200 commercial accounts. And if I'm remembering correctly, not 100% sure on that number. It's either 2,200 or 2,800. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. And what was the third one?
The residential.
Residential is about, we're at 29,636 total properties, and probably 26,000 and change of that is residential.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I can email whoever wants, if you want me to email you a copy of the abstract that gives you the actual breakdowns for the town.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
All right, I'll send it off to you after I sign off.
Great, thank you.
Paul, why don't you just send it to Tom and he can cascade it to the full BET,
Sure.
please?
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions for Paul on the tax assessor's office? Tom, do we want to talk about the reval, or is there anything to talk about there, or not really? It's
I don't think so,
$20,000.
Paul. Anything you want to add to that? That's
No, we're
flat
probably
year
going
over
to start.
year?
We're probably going to start putting money in there next year. Jared and I were talking about that, about how do we want to start accumulating towards the 2028 reval. So we might start trying to put away a little bit each year, or because it's either going to be doing it a little bit each year or taking a big hit all at once. The next reval is going to be less expensive than the last reval because it's going to be what's most people refer to as a statistical reval. So it's not going to be paying for like as much boots on the ground work where every door gets knocked on. It's going to be a chosen amount of doors that get knocked on. But that we did talk about possibly starting to ramp it up, starting with next year's cycle.
But Paul, this is Troy, just a quick question. With regard to the revalve you said in 2028, do you foresee, and I'm just asking your opinion, do you foresee a shift back a little from the commercial burden, the residential burden to the commercial based on all the new projects that we've seen come online over the last 5 years?
I mean, it is possible. We haven't done any studies to give you a real good feel for it yet. But I mean, we're also still losing office space. I mean, we all saw the sale of the property up on the Main Street there, the Merit buildings, the 3 through 6 that sold for $58 million, and buildings 1 and 2 being converted to residential. So it's
Which
really
will
hard.
be on the commercial side, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it'll be in the apartment section. Yes.
So that's staying on the commercial.
It should help, provided that that they're doing well. But it's hard to predict when that's going to be done as well. Permits haven't even been
So
pulled.
at this point in time, Paul, you do not see the burden shifting any percentage back to the commercial side with all the apartment buildings and building complexes that have been built over the last 5 years here.
I don't want to say I don't see anything. I'm saying it's a possibility, but not something that I'd want to like put in stone.
I'm I'm surprised at that. Okay.
Well, and the
Troy,
reason why is that the residential continues to climb as well, because you got to remember that as well. It's not just other things like commercial coming online, but what is residential doing? And residential continues to grow. I mean, we're probably up since the reval, based on what I've been able to track, about another 15% over the two years.
yeah,
So
Mr.
So you think
Gilliard,
it's a neutral right now? You're saying you feel it's neutral at this point in time.
yeah, I would say that that's probably the closest that I'd come. Yeah, saying that it's neutral.
It's
they're
disappointing. I
they're
thought
very they're
that there
very
was going to be a
close.
bump up. Okay.
There
Jared,
were
I believe you had a follow-up, and then Ms. Yang, your hand is
there
up.
was a
I'm not sure if it's
slide
again or.
And
that
it
I
sounded
put
like
into the
Jared had something to say.
budget presentation. And when you look at the natural part of the growth, the residential was up 0.69% and commercial was up 0.94%. So there's a slight bit, but to Paul's point, like that's pretty negligible. And given the increases that we have been seeing also in on the residential side of thing and property sales on the residential side, it's there's no definitive projection of that at this point.
Ms. Yang?
Paul, when you give us these numbers relative to the breakout of motor vehicles, commercial and residential, can you do the following? Can you give us call it a 5-year trend, maybe 1 year before the reval, then the reval, and then the last 2 years, and what the number of units they are, the number of units, and then the gross value, and then the bottom line is our total grand list, and then let's see the growth. I'd like to see the growth in units and the growth in values of those 3 segments over that period of time. So that gives us an assessment of this whole residential, commercial. And so I would think that's part of your summary. That would be terrific. Thank you.
Sure. I'll get together with Jared and Tom to work on that.
Great. Thank you.
How far back are you looking to go?
22, she said.
Yeah, let's go back 1 year before the reval.
1 year before the reval.
So
22, 23, 24, 25.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So 4 years.
So 1 year before the reval, when the mix was 66-34, and to look at what it is now. Could we also, we've had this in the past, have a list of all properties that have received some element of the tax abatement within the free enterprise zone, what those properties have been over the last, again, that same time period. So the part below there is, let's call it, is the top properties that have had these free enterprise zone adjustments, and how just what they've looked like in terms of actual dollar value for the building and what their abatement has been whether it's 50% over 7 years like the mall, or it's a declining one like many of the others. Because that way we can also look at the value of those properties and how that will run off. And then presumably at the time of the reval, we'll be able to gauge. So I think it gets to the question that Mr. Jelleret talked about, is that we have a lot of construction. We'd like to see what those top 10 buildings, whether they're abated or whether they're not. Top 10 buildings in terms of their value and not. So we need to see that type of analysis of the grand list.
We have
Sure.
we have that in the works, and it's very close to being done. Yeah, the one thing I caution you about, and I've talked to Mr. Jelleret about this, is that um, those properties, there aren't a lot of them, and they represent a very, with the exception of the mall, they represent a very, 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 very small portion of the grand list. So even if they're going to go up there, it's not the type of thing that they're not going to move the needle in terms of the the distribution between commercial and residential. And so I just want to manage expectations and
No,
what you might see from this.
no, I'm not surprised that you have said that, Jared, but we'd like to just see the data.
Yeah. I mean, the whole point that Ms. Yang is on, and it gets back to the same thing on the efficiency study in departments, is, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about these things in generalities for years. We'd like to start to expose the data so we all have the facts in front of us, please.
Agreed.
Be more than happy.
Thank you. Anything else for Paul before we move to the tax collector? All right, Tom, let's keep going.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you, Paul. All right,
Thanks, Paul.
Lisa B is up next. Her bottom line total is 1.3 million, up $40,000 or 3.2% over last year. Only 3 line items are different from the previous year, mostly in salaries, and then she has 2 that are decreases. Lisa, you can take it away.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We got you.
Okay, good evening, folks. I'm online, and also the assistant tax collector, Al Palumbo, is online as well. In terms of variance within year to year for the tax collector's office, you will typically see a change when we are in a non-tax sale year. So we are in a tax sale year, fiscal year end 2026. Our tax sale is in July of 26, but most of the expenses for the sale are taking place in this fiscal year. So that 5259 account is basically our tax sale account where we pay for things leading up to the tax sale, such as title searches, legal notices, advertising, and mailings. We do recover those costs in their entirety from properties that are included in the sale. So as those properties pay off, we recover all our fees, but we do need basically the seed money to conduct the sale. So that's why you see a reduction in that account for next year, because we are not having a tax sale next year. We're having it this year. We have one every 2 years. Similarly with the advertising account, because we do spend a lot of money advertising. That's all by state statute. We have to publish those notices in the paper, and they're fairly extensive because our tax sales are large. We start with anywhere between 200 to 250 properties when we have a tax sale, and we typically generate this time between $5 to $7 million of revenue. So I would like to talk a little bit about revenue and the sale. The tax collector's office, even in a non-tax sale year, is responsible for about 90% of your operating revenue in this budget. We have been able to maintain a head count of 8 for the last 26 years. When I got here, there were 8 people in the office, and there are 8 people now. There is me, there's the assistant collector, we have a delinquent collector, we have 2 administrative folks, we have 1 person who basically works on certificates of change, escrow accounts, real estate accounts, liens, things like that. And we have a cashier up at the front end whose duties are solely cashiering. The 2 administrative folks also have other duties in the office. So that's our staff. We also collect, in addition to property taxes, sewer use charges, about $20 million a year now in sewer use charges. We collect IPP fees. We collect a marijuana tax now. And we've started collecting zoning violation fines and blight fines when we do our tax sales. We were charged with doing that as well. In terms of trying to be more efficient, we are doing a lot more stuff online now. Every year it gets a little bit more. And our new online payment provider that we will be changing over to sometime within the next basically 2 to 3 months, we are trying to encourage the use of electronic payments so that we're going to basically absorb the cost of allowing people to pay with an electronic check. In order to encourage people to do that, get the money in the bank faster, to allow the city to invest it faster, and also eliminate the chance for mail fraud and check fraud that has been occurring. And hopefully in time also reduce our paper costs, envelope costs, things like that. So that's something fairly new, and the administration will have more to say about that. But I just wanted to put it out there in terms of, I know you're concerned about headcounts and you're concerned about expenses, but I think our staff is a very, very experienced staff. You have 3 individuals that all have more than 30 years experience in the business, and we're trying to do more with less. And we just want you to know that. But I'll be happy to field all of your questions at this time.
Thank you, Lisa. And again, I think we all recognize the hard work that you and your department do and the return that it provides to the city. So thank you. Ms. Yang. Ms. Yang, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Lisa, how much do you raise in a tax sale?
We can raise however much the city budget office needs us to raise. So in the past, we've raised anywhere from 2 million to 7 million to 9 million. So we're planning this time on about 7 million. And what we do is at this time, once our second installment collection period is over, which it now is, we're going to rerun our delinquent lists and figure out what criteria we need to set in order to bring in that amount of money. So we started out back in December. We sent out a set of letters to those that we knew were going to be included because they owed 2 or 3 years worth of taxes. So regardless of the dollar amount, we sent out letters to about 120 property owners. Since then, we've collected nearly $1.2 million on those properties. We're going to rerun the lists now, and it's not just going to be number of years back, it's going to be dollar amount owed. And depending on how much we still need to bring in, the cutoff will be anywhere from $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. If you owe that amount of money, regardless of how long you've owed it, even if it's only your January 26th payment, you're in the sale. So those letters are going to go out probably the end of this month, early next month. We file our liens the first week of April. The sale is July 13th, and we'll work on that between now and the summer.
If we were to hire a outside firm like many other municipalities do, how much would it cost us to run that tax sale?
It would cost the taxpayers or the city. Typically, it's $5,000 per property that is charged. There are attorneys and marshals that do this. So if you have 200 properties times 5,000, I don't do math in my head, but I know you do.
Yes, that's $100,000. So on top of the fact that you have 8 people for 26 years and additional things that you collect, plus doing a tax sale, which if we went outside that other people's. So I've always thought your group, given what it does, punches well above its weight in terms of what you do and how you present yourself to the outside. And I really have to give you credit because I think everyone here in the city knows one day late, there's no excuse. You know, it's and it's great because you set the line. Everybody knows you get your taxes in on time. Um, otherwise, otherwise you pay the fine, pay the arrears or whatever, the interest rates, the penalty interest rates. So thank you for that.
You're
Madam
welcome.
Mayor.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, Lisa. You do such a remarkable job, and I really want you to know how much we appreciate it. You just have that ability to get it done, no bones about it. So really, really do appreciate that, and I like every opportunity that I get to commend you for that. Um, I do have a question. So we started, with the blight sales last year. Do you have any statistics on that as to, how we did with that last year?
We didn't do as well as we had hoped.
Hmm.
So what, and part of the problem, and I'm actually glad you brought it up because it's an issue for me in terms of our resources and our efficiency because
Hmm.
blight liens and zoning liens are different from tax liens. The process by which they come into being is different from my liens. And it's my understanding that the law department is involved in actually going to court and perfecting that lien and filing the lien in the case of a blight lien or a zoning violation lien. And then they turn it over to me. Unlike tax liens, those liens are also subject to negotiation.
Hmm.
So a lien that can start out at $148,000 that I tax sale for that amount can end up being reduced very significantly after
Hmm.
I've already gone through the process to try to sell the property. So this happened with one particular property twice in 2 different
Hmm.
sales. So my directive to zoning and to blight is going to be, please don't give it to us to collect until the lien is perfected and you don't have any intention of reducing the amounts due, because otherwise there's no point in including it in the sale. Also, it's a bad optic
Hmm.
um, for me because I have to explain to my taxpayers that we don't negotiate taxes.
Hmm.
And it's a bad look and it's very, very
Hmm.
concerning to me. And I made that very clear to the law department and to the people who were involved in handling that in the 2025 sale, particularly the zoning liens, not so much even the blight, but the zoning as well. But we ended up collecting about half of what we intended to collect. It was the first municipality in Connecticut to make use of a tax sale to collect zoning violation fees. And we did collect some that were out there from 7 or 8 years ago. So in terms of that, it was a success. But in terms of the actual dollar amounts, which is how I measure our success, we only collected about 60% of what we originally started out to collect. And going back to Ms. Yang's point about the sales, we would not be able to accomplish any of this without the support of the administrations, current and past. So we've been doing these sales since 2003, and we appreciate it when the taxpayers do go to the policymakers and ask for exceptions to be made and so forth. We appreciate the fact that that does not happen and that we are allowed to proceed, because without that, we would not be able to have the success that we do. So it does go both ways, and I appreciate the support from all of you as well.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. And thanks for laying out all those challenges that you've had. And I will follow up with the law department. And that's an area that, just in terms of enforcement, with zoning code enforcements and enforcements about, many other things, towing cars and shoveling sidewalks and whatnot, that's something that I'm really digging into. And, the whole purpose around that is really more quality of life, but it will ultimately have a revenue increase for the city. It'll take a little time because we've got to change some ordinances and whatnot, but it's something really important that I think needs to be addressed. So we'll be working on that.
Thank
And
you,
happy to
Madam
support
Mayor.
you in any way we can.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Madam Mayor. Ms. Yang.
Lisa, when you said the blight revenues were half what you expected, what did you actually collect on that first blight sale?
I don't remember. I would have to go look at the board. I have it. It's outside my office. Well, I'll go look and I'll come back to you.
Oh, no, that's fine. Just if you just follow up, that's fine.
Okay.
Are you able to deal in this tax sale that you have any liens that may be on properties? So, for example, one of the things we've talked about is the reimbursement on fire relocation expenses. Not saying that we have any problems in the past, we just haven't heard what the results have been. But let's say there was a lien. Would you be able to sell that lien in your tax sale?
No, because there's no statutory authority to do it. The legislation would have to be done in the similar way that it was done to allow us to do zoning liens. So that came out of discussions with Senator Duff, and he and his colleagues in Hartford gave us the ability to do that. So we presently do not have the ability to do it for those types of liens.
Okay. And you have no ability, presumably, also to sell city property, city excess property in any of these situations where you've got people bidding on things. I think you're just going to know.
I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm sorry.
If there was, let's say there was a property, a parcel of land that the city owned, and, rather than going through, a whole listing process or whatever, can you actually run an auction for it?
No.
I think
That's excess property sales are done by a different department other than me.
okay. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lisa.
Any
You're
further
welcome.
questions? Yep. Any further questions for Lisa or the tax collector's department? Again, Lisa, thank you
Ed,
for all the
oh
energy.
yeah, Ed, it's Troy.
Yes,
Real quick, Lisa, thank you and your department. You guys do a great job. Just I didn't quite hear. You said 200 properties at $5,000. That's $1 million. Is that what you said, Ann? I'm sure. I don't know if you said $1 million.
It would be $1 million. Yeah.
Okay, I thought. Okay, and then you said you were looking to absorb the fees on. Was it credit cards or just you said electronic checks?
Not credit card, but electronic
Okay.
check. The credit card fee is going to still be paid by the taxpayer, but the fee for right now for an e-check, the current provider is charging us charging the taxpayer $1.25. And we negotiated an agreement where the new provider, if the city absorbs the fee, it will cost only 25 cents. And we felt it was worth it to absorb that in order to encourage the taxpayers to pay with the electronic check, and also that aligns with the green initiative to do with less paper and things like that. So we got buy-in from the administration on that, and that will be rolled out hopefully within the next 2 to 3 months.
I agree with that 100%. And just what do you think the revenue is going to be for the cannabis for this town this year, in a year?
Jared has been tracking it, and it's about $30,000 a month.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Consistent, very consistent.
Lisa, we also got a lower rate on the credit card and debit card fee for the taxpayer.
Okay, that's great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Al. That's correct.
Yep.
Okay. Any additional questions for Lisa? All right, seeing none. Lisa, again, thank you very much for all the effort and energy you put in and your team puts in. I know it's not just you, so thank you all.
It's not just me. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, Lisa.
Tom, shall we move to accounting and treasury?
Sure thing. Yeah, up next is Chitsame Lamb, who runs the controller team, aka accounting and treasury. Overall, she is at 1,000,004, which is $122,000 over last year's revised budget, or 9.4%. Vast majority of which is in the salaries, and a couple of variances here. One significant increase, one significant decrease. Chitsme, you can take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. So in the comptroller's department, we're responsible for accounting and treasury. That's including accounts payable, payroll, and pension benefit payments. I know that Jared had mentioned earlier regarding the shared resources with Board of Ed. We work closely with Board of Ed. We do share, and as you could see, our second biggest item is the IT software, and that's for our time and attendance software. So we share that with Board of Ed, and the city does incur 100% of that cost. In addition is the other professional services, which what we included in there are a portion that's related to the time and attendance. It's a module. There are certain modules in there that we would purchase that it's share with both the Board of Ed and the City Human Resource Department, and that's like the FMLA module to keep track of the information in there. In addition, our biggest line item is wages, and that is made up of, currently we have 7 full-time employee and 1 part-time. We have 2 vacancy. One is our deputy comptroller, and the other one is our junior accountant. Currently, I mean, we're looking to fill those positions, but because of deadlines, we want to make sure our deadlines are met. Right now, our main focus is filling the deputy comptroller. And then if you have any other questions, I'm more than willing to answer them.
Madam Miss Yang, I'm sorry.
So first off, Chitsme, you guys do a great job. That's a remarkable annual report. That's very unique compared to any other annual reports that I've read. There's a lot more nuances to it. So thank you for that. I also would like to commend you, as I said during Bill Lindsay's bond rating presentation. You guys did an incredible job. I think it's Chitsme, Jared, you and Chitsme, in reducing the backlog of the debt that was sort of allocated but not spent, because I think you reduced it by almost 100 million.
Yeah, it's the whole team. It's everybody. It's the whole finance department, and we all collaborate on it. It's a good team effort.
That was a great job.
Yeah.
That was a really great job. You changed that whole dynamic of that waterfall. Can you give us a sense of what the retroactive adjustments you had to make on salary and benefits relative to the collective bargaining agreements?
I mean, I think Jared had mentioned it earlier. We did notice a lot of the changes was the salary increase. I think majority had 3% that we saw. There were a lot of other changes in the benefits too, which is once we were going through the contracts. Like for example, there used to be 2 type of vacation tables. They consolidated to one. Another change is the timing of the payments. We used to have weekly and bi-weekly employee. Now everybody's paid weekly. So with that, it's kind of increased our costs. especially in the printing and the processing of the payroll itself.
What additional cost do you think it is to go from bi-weekly to paying people weekly?
The printing, we do print more advice. I mean, we do encourage people to make a selection to not have it printed. There are checks too for part-time employee. We do encourage people to have direct deposit, but it's definitely the printing. Just normally when it's weekly, it's about 300 employee. Now it's bi-week. I mean, when it's bi-weekly, we'll get 300 employee one week, and then we'll get 800 employee another week. So now it's 800 employee that we're paying each week. And the time too, our payroll personnel, we have to look to make sure, call our department and make sure the approvals are in there, so that we could take it to the next phase of the payroll processing, to cut the checks and direct deposit and getting all that items to the bank.
So every single employee of the city gets paid on a weekly basis?
Correct, currently.
Okay. And so when you made those adjustments vis-a-vis the benefits and everything, how much did it increase sort of over a baseline when you had to look at what existed last year and then these adjustments for this new pro forma?
I think, I don't know, Jared, you want to add, but majority is 3%, but there was also overtime included in there. So that kind of added to the calculation.
Yeah, our estimate right now was about between 26 and 27 was approximately $6 million. And that's what when we were talking about the budget drivers, that's what we came up with. And we netted out the 3 million that we're doing as a lapse. We netted that out. So the net impact is about $3 million to the budget.
Okay. And Smith, could you describe your treasury function and how the city holds a lot of cash for a lot of the year. Can you describe how you maximize the income from that?
So the treasury function is both for the city and the Board of Ed. We have many banks that we have business with in the city itself, and majority of them is for our tax collector, so that people could go to the financial institution and pay their taxes there during the tax season. But we also have relationship with our advisor, which is we use US Bank to handle the investment side of things. And part of that is when we go out for bonding, we put our proceeds at US Bank, so that way they could kind of track our arbitrage and all that other items, so that way we're not in any non-compliant compliance with the IRS. We also have investment in other financial institutions, the state STIF account, and that's using the treasury rate. So we have it in all financial institutions, but majority of that is in our US Bank for investment purpose.
Thank you.
Additional questions for Chitsumay? Chitsumay, thank you very much. Appreciate the update. Tom, I guess it's your turn since it's your department.
Yes, up next is me. My head count is easy. It's two of us, Kimberly and I. So we're fully staffed. Year over year, we're down $7,000 or just under 2%. A couple of small items make that up: membership and dues, and a few other minor items, business expense and mileage that we're really not spending too much on. My big items, IT software, that's mainly the budget book, the digital budget book. And keep in mind that is the city side digital budget book for the operating as well as the capital. And that's another area of efficiency. The Board of Education also has ClearGov, but they pay their own portion of that. But that's really it. Nothing major other than that. Just a slight salary savings. But everything else pretty straightforward there. The part-time salaries, that's where Lola's pay comes out of in that line right there. But everything else pretty standard. I'll take any questions if there are any.
Questions for Tom?
My only comment is thanks for leading the charge and showing the decrease. Thank you, Tom.
There's no way I was coming in with an increase. You know that.
All right. Seeing no other questions, Tom, should we move on to purchasing?
Yes. Next is Sharon Connors in purchasing. Sharon, I think I see you.
Yep,
And
I'm
she's
here.
there. Yep, you're there.
Yep, I'm here.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you, everybody.
You are up.
Okay. So my team is 4 people total. There's myself, a purchasing officer, a buyer, and an office manager. Our biggest probably increase is our salary wages. There would be no additional headcounts going in the future. Some of the changes are incremental between the purchasing office and the central services division that we oversee. So, good example is the PO box for the city that where we receive all the mail for was being housed under the purchasing office account, and it has been moved to the central services account. Our other big expenditure is our IT software. We have an e-procurement system that we use for all our solicitations and collection for any submissions that we heard the others talk about RFPs. We've done them electronically. Those are the intake system that we used day in, day out. Let's see what else. Other big changes. Everything else we try to remain and keep flat. I'm going to move on to the central services area. So some of the changes is, again, the postage office box. We move that cost down to this area. We don't have control over the year-over-year increases. The feds set the rates twice a year. We pay our PO box in October, so it's the best guess of how much it will go up. Central printing, we don't really do much. Telephone, we basically aligned it to the actuals that it has been going to the past few years. And then, apologize, I have a cold. And trying to think what else. I think that's pretty much it. We try to keep everything flat as best as possible.
Sharon,
Sharon,
sorry, Ed, can I jump in with a question? Just
please,
there were a
Tom.
couple of that we for the BET members, we switched the copier service and devices throughout City Hall, and there were a couple of departments throughout these meetings who struggled to articulate whether or not their charges should be going up or down. And I was wondering if you might be able to just touch on that process and how it's going so far, and whether or not the city has realized savings on that front, or efficiencies, or a little of both.
So, yeah, I can understand their challenge on the articulation because actually we get consolidated billing from our provider, and the purchasing department processes all the invoices on the behalf of them. So from the cost aspect to the city or the departments, the cost per machine that we have assigned to each department is down, and then the cost of printing, whether it's black and white or color print, has gone down. Sorry, I don't have the numbers in front of me compared to our previous provider. So the monthly lease has gone down, which is a good savings. and then the cost of printing has gone down. But unfortunately, we can't predict the volume of their printing. So if you have a department that's, the cost per page is gone down, but they increase the number of pages they're printing, we can't control that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah, hi Sharon, thank you. I just have a question. I noticed that your subscription and membership services, are down significantly. And I just recall a conversation with you quite some time ago about, how you rely on those memberships and services and whatnot to keep track of regulations and, just wondering, why they're down so much and if you
Uh,
see potential concerns about that.
okay. So in my subscription account, in the previous years, we were holding the cost of the bonfire system in that particular account. We actually moved it to the IT software account. So
Okay,
that's why you see the big delta
got it.
change on that one. But we still have we use that particular account for our newspaper subscription. Per the purchasing guideline, we are required to advertise all our solicitations. And then so we need supporting document proof that we have that. So we actually do subscribe to the hour paper, and we retain those ads for our record retention. So that's why you see a big delta on that one. So the money that has been previously that we used for bonfire is actually in the IT software account, which is, sorry, I'm also
Yep.
blind as a bat, 5742. So it should be a
Okay,
change.
thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Any additional questions for Sharon? Sharon, thank you very much. Very clear update. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sharon.
You're
Tom,
welcome.
shall we
Sharon.
move to IT?
Sure thing. Our last section of the night. And Joyce has two sections here, IT services, and then, well, not really two. But GIS has been combined with IT, so for economies of scale. Just some actuals to clean up there this year, but IT overall is up 276,000 over revised for a total of just under 7%. And relatively flat with the exception of a few of her larger line items. But Joyce, you can take it away.
Thank you, Tom, and good evening, everyone. I would like to use this opportunity to spend a couple minutes to briefly introduce City's IT department and the service we provide and support. Our department currently have 13 full-time staff member with 2 vacant positions. We are organized into 4 teams. We have a desktop supporting system administration team, network engineer team, and programming database and GIS team. We manage and maintain a wide range of technology service across more than 14 city locations and over 30 city departments. So including the city hall location, police headquarters, 6 fire station, 2 library, health building, DPW transportation, garage, and our newest addition, which is the community center located in 98 South and Main Street. Our team support many critical system and services, including the phone system, network infrastructure, email, computers, mobile devices, virtual servers, vendor software application, internet and intranet applications, database management, network monitoring, cybersecurity tool, data storage, backup recovery system, and many of the city's digital service that residents rely on every day. So we understand that we are spending residents' hard-earned tax dollar. So because of that, we regularly review the technology market to find a solution that will be both cost effectively and reliable.
to keep the cost down so we can continue provide the best possible service to the city. I would like to focus on the three items that we have, like the big change. The first one is IT hardware increase. So in October 2025, so after 20 years of leasing managed fiber from the third party vendor, the city launched our own fiber network. So first, I would like to, to thank the TMP department and for partnering with IT department to make this fiber connection possible. This year, in return, we also monitor their traffic network, so it's kind of a partnership, like a win-win for both of us. So this year, we put additional money to make sure that additional network-related hardware, our Wi-Fi access point need to be added to the network, so what we're trying to do is try to enhance the productivity and connectivity throughout the whole entire city. The most recent example, like I mentioned, the new addition, the new community center, in last couple weeks, with one low one-time fiber cost under $5,000, the building is now connecting using the city's fiber network. Of course, then our network, fiber is just like a pipe, the pipeline, the big pipeline connecting to the building. Then our network team need to make a connection to make it all the endpoints, connecting to the network. But that's explained that, this fiber, owning a fiber give us ability really to be extended any, if the city bought another building, we will be able to extend our own fiber into the new building, with a very, low one-time cost, and will be last for. While TMP probably will tell you the oldest fiber we have, city have, is over 42 years old, right? So I'm counting that, if we do the installation one time, it probably will last at least 20 years. So that's a one-time cost, fiber investment that throughout the whole entire city, and I believe that's it's really big to saving the money and make the city a smart city, for the long run. Another item I believe is IT software increase. So the rule of thumb, IT covering software, it is the following: if a software is covering the city or multiple department as a whole, right? So generally, it fall under IT software operating budget. Early this morning, I was like export a list of all the software IT is managing. I think a little bit over 100 of the software that we are managing. So the increase you see is really part of the addition of a new permitting software, citywide permitting software we are having. And then there is an ADA compliance tool that for the city website that's also adding on top of the IT software increase. I think the third one is IT cybersecurity. So, cybersecurity is one of our top priority. City across the country, now frequently target as a cyber attack, and those threats, become more advanced. As a city government, we can see the neighbors across the U.S. there are, multiple city government already under attack. So including, those attacks, they are using artificial intelligence. This is something that there's no way a human being will be, watching over, this attack and find out with our, ability, what's the next, what's going to happen. And, so a lot of the technology environment today is really far more complex than what it was in the past. So we must continue upgrading our security tool and system to protect the city's network and data. We do add additional monitoring tools to improve network invisibility and strengthen our overall security posture. Those tools really help us detect issues early on. So we can respond faster and better protect cities, property, and the information. Right. So overall, we continue to improve technology and standardize, automate whatever we could. But the technology really changed quickly, so IT has to keep on moving forward with it. Our staff constantly learn new tools and systems to keep the technology safe and running smoothly. Sometimes new systems require an adjustment, and there's some improvement. They are just this improvement are necessary to keep cities secure and reliable. Yeah, so I just want to point it out. IT is often a behind the scene function. When everything works well, people might not notice it, but that means our team is really doing their job, maintaining the network, the server, the systems every day. So I really want to give a big shout out for our IT team. It's not a one person job, it's a teamwork. um, um, I, I'm open, I'm happy to answer any question that you might have for.
Thank you, Joyce. Madam Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Joyce. And, I'm, so often when we talk, I go back to the efficiency study 4 years ago, and the takeaways that we had from that. One, I just have to mention it, that they were really quite struck by how well we do, because they considered us as a city to be pretty short-staffed, and they were quite impressed that we did as well as we did. So that was one thing, but also, they really, really stressed the importance of investing in IT and hiring a chief information and security officer, and that's something we've struggled to do because of the cost. And I can see that you've worked really hard to cobble, with some smaller investments, the fiber network and the cybersecurity. But how do you feel you continue to struggle, to meet the demands? Because you've already mentioned it, it's always changing, and we have to keep up with it. And there's, AI out there that's, making it really, really challenging. So, if you could really have what you felt you needed, to really boost this department, and keep up with the times, what would I just have to know, what would your fantasy be? Because it is, right now it is, we know that it's not something we can really fund right now, but something I think we need to prepare for.
Yeah, I really want to have a cybersecurity person within our department. The thing is there we have a lot of monitoring tool. We do well, it will spit out reports, but lots of time it's like um you know a lot of time you see a lot of things going on, but an experienced cybersecurity person will be able to connecting the dots into align into the service, right? So we do, the thing is, we manage a very small, relatively tight team that everybody's running around doing, what we're supposed to do. A lot of time, if we have a specific one person, just be able to say, hey, I can sense, like, or I'm reading report, I'm reading the notification from the cybersecurity tools, right? Then, lots of time could be, okay, that's really not important. Sometimes it's a false, or false positive. But sometimes it's just like we never know. One little tiny thing could be something that will be trigger the whole big events, right? So if we can ahead of time, identify what's going on, and by reading all this, if we need to focus on reading all the pop-up of all the reports, that's one person's job. I'm struggling to do, try to be the part of the cybersecurity team, in order to step but we definitely need a full-time, a position that help us on that area. I honestly feel like we did such a good job. I don't definitely do not want my team to be take the fault on on something that if we got hacked. It's not about if that's about when. Nobody can say 100% of we're not going to be hacked. Even Microsoft in our IBM, our White House, they cannot say something like that. So it's about how are we recover. Then we also providing the training, cybersecurity training. We provide phishing, like task. We try to bring up awareness, but it is a lot. Cybersecurity is become big, and then I, yeah, if that's possible, I really would like to have, that position fill up to as an auditor, like looking out for us, like right. Sometimes we're doing a work that you really didn't see behind your back what's going on, and I believe a totally separate, a person will be, overlook the cybersecurity posture. That would be great.
Yeah, and I thought it was important we at least, talk about this a bit because I think it's something we have to plan for. It's been talked about for a number of years, and certainly not something we can address this year with everything else we have. But and I think Jared, you've been, we've been talking a lot about areas where we can find some savings with some policies and things, and we'll get to that. As we start our deliberations, some of the ideas you have, but it's important, and we don't want to leave the city vulnerable. So thank
Before I
you.
get to Ms. Yang and Jared, I want to follow up on this point as well, though a little bit different angle, though, Joyce. Why look at this as an insourced opportunity? There are a significant number of organizations out there that do managed security services, do that quite well, both in the public and private space. I would encourage us very much to look at outsourced models versus insourcing. You will have much greater resource, much greater access to the most current information, et cetera, and be able to reduce the cost associated with expenses like that. And I would quite honestly think about outsourcing not just in IT and look at it in other areas. I'll come back to that in a moment, though. First, Ms. Yang, your hand was up first, and then we'll get to Jared.
Mr. Abrams, can I just remind everybody, kind of similar to some of the things that the police department does, there are some aspects and some details of our IT system, especially when it comes to cybersecurity, that we don't want to divulge. And the point that you just made, Mr. Abrams, I do have some response to that. And if you wanted either tonight or another night, we could go into executive session and we could talk more about
Let's
those kinds of things in details. But I just want to be careful to.
let's take that offline, and that is a very detailed discussion around NDAs and all of the other things that associate with being a managed service provider in that space that make one successful. So happy to discuss it, Jared, but let's take it offline, not this evening.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Yang, I'm sorry.
I wholeheartedly agree with the entire conversation here. I think this is critically important. And here's a bit of an idea. Datto is a Norwalk cybersecurity company. Not necessarily exactly, and this is the patrons who gave us Manresa. Maybe they could be brought in to help. So that would be a thought, Mayor Smith.
I think the McCord's sold, so we don't have a direct connection, but I know that Datto does do that work.
There are many that do. So
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
excuse me. I also want to mention about well, as a city, we have like a 9 to 5, regular working hour, but cyber attack is not going to be just stay with your office hour. So one of the thing is 24/7 monitoring service will be, great because lots of the time it's going to be 3 a.m. while everybody's deep sleep, and then the attack happening, and then so in this year's capital request, I also asking for some money will be able to explore that option.
That's an important option. And again, it's another reason to consider outsourcing and managed services in this space.
Mhm.
Joyce, I want to pivot for a moment, please. Does the IT department set or have a citywide policy as it relates to AI utilization by the departments, agentic AI, various AI platforms, etc. As I'm struck by the fact that across all of our departmental discussions, there's been no mention about using agentic or other AI tools to drive efficiency, to drive productivity, etc. Is there a citywide policy in that regard that stems from IT?
We are putting together a citywide AI policy. So basically, since we are Microsoft, we are using Microsoft Office 365. Then well, in order to protect us as a city, all the information natively will be protected under the Microsoft Copilot. So we just have a quote for Microsoft Copilot. Just a year for each employee is $300. So even if I want to give my a couple, for example, 30 employee of this Copilot, to enhance their ability to perform better, then that's about a $10,000 right there. So in the meantime, I was, does everybody need to have, AI, support to do their work? Of course, I would love to, but then the cost is also on the side, right? So in the end, we might just like give a try for, multiple, because I know health department want it, DPW, all the engineer, they want it, and then, a free, sometimes free AI, you uploading the city's information in there, you definitely do not want that, to happening. So, but if you do not give people the tools, they are going to find another way to get that done. So yes, actually this is a topic we've been, discussed internally. And then we also work with other, department. They also mentioned about, hey, they would like to, city to provide AI tools instead of they go to ChatGPT or, go to Gemini or go any other, and jeopardize the chance that might be accidentally uploading the city's information in, and right. So that's Microsoft Copilot will be the one, we would make a suggestion on it.
I understand. I
Mhm.
would submit, Madam Mayor, and I look to you on this one, that we aggressively accelerate our position in this regard. The opportunities for cost efficiencies that can offset $10,000, I think we could find in about 5 minutes.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree, Ed. And we have been talking about it, as Joyce said, we're working on an AI policy. But I think, I know that the law department is using AI very successfully and has really, really, really increased their efficiencies. That's a department that has just been overwhelmed with work for so long, and it's really improved things for them. And so, Joyce, you mentioned DPW. I think that's an area where that would be my next area of focus, is because I think that they would find some incredible savings. What can be done in the engineering field is extraordinary, and definitely worth that investment. So yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah,
And I know
I
nothing about it
Thank
for
you, Mayor.
myself, I don't have that great a need myself for AI, but our departments can really, really grow efficiently.
Yeah, there is a tremendous opportunity. I would encourage you to put a team together so
Mhm.
it's not just falling on yourself, Madam Mayor. But the opportunity for efficiencies and cost savings across so many city departments are are obvious even to me, which means that others can find even more efficiencies in that regard.
All right, got that, Jared? We're on it.
We are
Thank
on it. Yes.
All right. Any other questions or comments for this evening? Seeing none, may I get a motion to adjourn, please? Thank you, Kendrick. We are adjourned. We are back together on Wednesday evening. There is no meeting tomorrow evening, even though some of you may have a calendar invite. You are
Yes.
free for a Tuesday.
I'm not.
Thank
I
you.
have
Thank you, Ed.
or city council meeting.
Sorry, Madam Mayor.
All right, I'll see you Wednesday.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.